Hello students, welcome to AriserTalent. As you know, we are studying very important chapter, that is life processes. In life process, we are going to start about the human excretory system. In my previous lecture, I taught you about the excretory system. Okay, and that time I taught you that in the humans there are the primary excretory organs and additional excretory organs. So today we are going to talk about the human excretory system, in which we will talk about the primary excretory organ, that is kidney. Fine. So let's talk about the human excretory system. Here we can see that the human excretory system is comprises of a pair of kidney, okay, a pair of ureter and one gallbladder and one urethra. Okay, so here we can mention human excretory system. Okay, so here we can mention that the human excretory system is comprises of a pair of kidney, which we can see here, a pair of kidney, a pair of ureter, one gallbladder and one urethra. Okay, so let me mention, it is comprises of a pair of kidney, a pair of kidneys, a pair of ureter, okay, one gallbladder and one urethra. Okay, so these are the main excretory organs of the human excretory system. Fine. So in my previous lecture, when I taught you about the excretory organs in the human, that time I taught you that the primary excretory organ in the human is kidney. Okay, so here we can see these two kidneys are the primary excretory organ in the human. Okay, so if we talk about the structure of this kidney, we can see, first of all, this kidney is generally located on the either side of vertebral column in the lower abdominal cavity. So first of all, let me mention about the kidney. We will talk about the kidney first. Okay, so position of kidney is that it is located either side of the vertebral column in the lower abdominal cavity. Okay, so let me mention, it is located on the either side of the vertebral column in the lower abdominal cavity, abdominal cavity. Okay, so this is the position of the kidney in the human body, that kidney is located on the either side. Why we are saying either side? Because we can see a pair of kidneys present in the human body. Okay, so here we can say that the kidney is present on the either side of the vertebral column in the lower abdominal cavity. This is the position of the kidney. Now we will talk about its structure. So we can see that this kidney is covered by the tough fibrous connective tissues. Okay, and this fibrous layering or covering is known as renal capsule. Fine. So let me mention, kidney is covered, or we can say each kidney is covered by tough fibrous connective tissue, and this covering is known as renal capsule. This covering is called renal capsule. Okay, so come to the diagram. This renal capsule means this covering, or we can say that this kidney is again divided into two parts, means this covering is divided into two parts. The outer covering, here we can see the outer region of this renal capsule, means this complete covering is known as renal capsule, and it is divided into two parts. This outer layer is known as renal cortex and the inner part is known as renal medulla. Okay, so here we can say that this renal capsule is divided into two parts. Renal capsule is divided into two parts. Okay, what are they? Renal cortex and renal medulla. Renal cortex and renal medulla. Okay, so let me explain it again, that each kidney has a tough outer covering which is fibrous and made up of connective tissues, and it is known as renal capsule. This renal capsule is divided into two parts. The outer layer, or we can say this outer covering, is known as renal cortex, and the inner part of this renal capsule is known as renal medulla. Okay, so renal medulla, if we talk about this renal medulla, which is the inner part, then this renal medulla is made up of microscopic, or we can say numerous microscopic tubules which are known as nephrons. Okay, so this renal medulla is made up of numerous, means n number of microscopic tubules are present which are known as nephrons, and nephrons are the structural and functional unit of this kidney. Okay, let me mention. First of all, we will talk about the cortex. Cortex is the outer layer, okay, and the renal medulla is the inner part of the renal capsule. Okay, so here we can mention renal capsule, which is divided into two parts. What are they? Renal cortex and renal medulla. Okay, so this renal cortex is the outer part. This is the outer part of renal capsule, and renal medulla, which is the inner part of the renal capsule, and it is made up of n number of microscopic tubules which are known as nephrons. Okay, it is inner part of the renal cortex. Okay, this renal medulla is comprises of numerous microscopic tubules known as nephrons. Okay, and these nephrons are the structural and functional unit of the kidney. Fine, so come to the diagram again, that each kidney is covered by a tough fibrous connective tissue, and which is known as capsule. Which capsule? Renal capsule, and this renal capsule is divided into two parts. Outer one is known as renal cortex, and the inner part of this renal capsule is known as renal medulla. This renal medulla is comprised of numerous microscopic tubules which are known as nephrons, and these nephrons are the structural and functional unit of this kidney. Okay, now here in the diagram you can see that the lateral part of this kidney is convex. Okay, and here median part is concave. So on the concave part, or we can say on the median concave part, here it forms renal ileum. There is a notch which is known as renal ileum. Okay, or renal ileum. So this renal hilum is again divided into renal veins, renal nerves and renal artery. This renal hilum again leads into the tube which is known as renal pelvis. Okay, let me mention here. Kidney has two sides, means lateral part of the kidney is convex and medial part is concave. On the concave part of the kidney there is a notch which is known as hilum. Let me mention. Lateral side of the kidney is convex and the median side is concave. Okay, so on the concave side, here we can see on the concave side, on the median concave side, there is a notch side of the kidney. There is a notch known as renal hilum. There is a notch known as renal hilum. Okay. This renal hilum again leads into a tube. Here we can say this renal hilum leads into a notch which is known as renal pelvis. Let me mention. This renal hilum is or leads into the tube-like structure or tubular structure known as renal pelvis. Okay, this is all about the parts of kidney. Now we can see, let's come back to the structure of excretory system. So if we can see in this diagram, here we studied about the kidney and this part is known as renal pelvis. Okay, so we can see that renal pelvis leads into a tubular structure which connect the kidney to the bladder and this tube is known as ureter. Okay, so thus we can say a pair of ureter is present in the human excretory system which carries the urine formed in the kidney from kidney to the bladder. Okay, let me mention. This renal pelvis leads into muscular hollow tube known as ureter. Okay, renal pelvis leads into muscular hollow tube known as ureter. Clear? So here we can say ureters are the long tubes which are hollow and muscular in nature and then they carry urine formed in the kidney from kidney to the gallbladder. Clear? So it is clear to you that renal pelvis leads into the muscular hollow tube which is known as ureter. Fine. So what is ureter? Ureter is a hollow muscular tube or we can say long tube which connect the kidney to the bladder and it carries the urine formed in the kidney from kidney to the bladder. Okay, let me mention. Ureter is a long hollow tube. Already I have mentioned that it is muscular and hollow tube. Let me underline it. Ureter is muscular and hollow tube. So here I am mentioning ureter is a long hollow tube, long hollow tube which connects kidney to bladder and carry the urine formed in the kidney from there to the bladder. So, ureter is a long hollow tube which connects kidney to the bladder and brings urine which is formed in the kidney. Okay, urine from the kidney to the bladder. Clear? Okay. So, now we will talk about bladder. What is bladder? Here we can see bladder is a muscular pear-shaped sac. Okay. We can see bladder is a muscular and pear-shaped sac in which generally it has thick wall which are lined by the epithelium, and these epithelium allow it to expand. Okay. Means we can say the epithelium or the walls of bladder which are lined by epithelium, these epitheliums allow the expansion of bladder. Fine. So, let me mention about the bladder. Next, we will talk about bladder, which is also known as gallbladder. Yes. Next is bladder. So, it is sac-like structure. Okay. It is muscular. It is muscular, pear-shaped sac. It has thick walls. It has thick walls lined by epithelium. Okay, epithelium, and these epithelium allow the expansion of the bladder. Walls lined by epithelium which allows expansion. Okay, which allows expansion of the bladder. Okay, means these epithelium allow the expansion of the bladder. Clear? So, here we can see that ureter which connects the kidney to the bladder, it brings urine which is formed here in the kidney, brings that urine to the bladder. Okay, this bladder is connected to a tube, small tube which is known as urethra. Let me mention urethra. Okay. So, what is urethra? Urethra is a small tube which is connected from the bladder, and the urine is passed out of the body by this urethra only. Urethra, it is small tube. It passes urine out of the body. It passes urine out of the body. Okay. Fine. Is it clear? Urethra is a small tube which allows the urine to pass out of the body. The process of passing urine from the body is known as urination. Okay, or it's also known as micturition. Let me mention urination. The process of passing out urine from the body, that is known as urination. What is urination? The process of passing out urine from the body is known as urination. Okay, the process of passing out the urine, from the body is called urination. Okay, and as I told you that urine is formed in the kidney and is passed from ureter and is passed from kidney to bladder by ureter and from bladder to urethra, and urethra pass out the urine from the body. Okay, so as we are talking about the urine, then urine is formed in the kidney by the breakdown of amino acid, and the yellow color, pale yellow color of urine is just because of the pigment which is present in the urine, that is known as urochrome. Okay, let me mention pale yellow color of urine is because of the presence of pigment urochrome, pigment which is known as urochrome. Okay, urochrome, fine, and this urochrome pigment is formed, actually it is formed by the breakdown of hemoglobin in the kidney. Okay, here in the liver, when the hemoglobin breaks down, it forms the urochrome, and urochrome provides the pale yellow color to the urine. Okay, so this is the I must say this is the human excretory system and its parts, or we can say its organ. So let's revise that human excretory system is generally consist of a pair of kidney, a pair of ureter, okay, one bladder and one urethra. So first of all, we will again revise the structure of kidney. That kidney is generally bean shaped and it is present, or it is located on the either side of vertebral column and in the lower abdominal cavity. Its covering is known as renal capsule, which is generally tough, fibrous and made of connective tissues. It is divided into two parts which are known as renal cortex and renal medulla. Okay, renal cortex is outer covering and renal medulla is the inner part. This inner part is made up of numerous microscopic tubules which are known as nephrons. Okay, and these nephrons are the structural and function unit of this kidney. Again, then kidney leads into the pelvis, and then this pelvis leads into a pair of ureter. This ureter carries the urine formed in the kidney from kidney to the bladder. Bladder is a sac-like structure which is pear shaped. This bladder, from this bladder urine passes into the urethra, and from the urethra the urine is passed out of the body by the process of urination. Okay, so this is all about the human excretory system. Hope everything is clear to you. Now we will talk about its functioning. Okay, so now we will talk about the function of the excretory system. As I told you that excretory system helps in the removal of waste products from the body. Okay, so here we can mention the point that it helps in the removal of toxic chemicals, waste products, okay, as well as it maintains the water and osmotic balance in the body. Okay, next is functions of excretory system. Function of excretory system. First of all, it helps in the excretion of waste products. Excretion of waste products. Okay, removal of toxic chemicals. Removal of toxic chemicals. Okay, as well as removal of excess drugs which are present in the body. Sometimes it happens we take the medicines, then the amount of drugs increases in our body, so that is removed by the body by the help of urination only. So we can say that excretion or excretory system helps in the removal of excess vitamins and drugs. Okay, so we can say removal of excess vitamins and drugs, etc. We all know some people consume alcohol, that time excess amount of, when they consume the excess amount of alcohol, that time that alcohol is also passed out from the body in the form of urine only. So thus we can say it also help in the removal of excess vitamin, drugs and alcohol, etc. It maintains the water and osmotic balance in the body, which is known as osmoregulation. Okay, so we can say maintains water and osmotic balance in the body, which is known as osmoregulation. Okay, so these are the special functions of excretory system. Especially excretory system is related to the removal of waste materials. Okay, so excretion of waste function is excretion of waste products, removal of toxic chemicals, removal of excess vitamins and drugs, and maintains water and osmotic balance in the body, as well as it maintains the pH balance also in the body. Okay, let me mention, it maintains hemio or homeostatic of the body, and also maintains the pH balance in the body. So this is all about the human excretory system, that it is comprised of a pair of kidney, okay, and a pair of ureter, a single bladder and urethra. And the function of excretory system are that it helps in the removal of it helps in the removal of toxic chemicals, excess vitamins, drugs in the body, and removal of waste products, maintains water and osmotic balance in the body, and maintains homeostatic of the body. So it is all about the human excretory system. Hope everything is clear to you. Thank you.